Hey, it's Scott Barrett, and welcome back to the Burning Truth. And this is another special Burning Truth interview. Joining me is a man who once tried to cut a promo, but was outperformed by the turnbuckle pad. It's Matt Burns, everybody.
The turnbuckle pad beat me up once. It beat me up once, and you've never let me down. Never.
I've never known anybody be less charismatic than a microphone stand. But here he is, Matt Burns. He's here to help me out. And we've got another big interview this week, Matt Burns, which is good times, yeah?
That it is. But before we get to it, how are you as well? Well, how are you?
Okay, good week so far. Did the NXT review this morning. All is good. If you get a chance, visit the Burning Truth YouTube page, find that NXT review from this morning. I talked about last night's action. We had a great time. But there's loads of stuff going on our YouTube page at the minute, The Burning Truth 251, and you can help us get to 1,000 subscribers by liking, subscribing, leaving a comment, and basically doing all that good stuff, Matt Burns. That's what we say, right?
Yep, that's what we say.
Shall we get today's guest?
Let's.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, strap in, because tonight we've got a man who has been tearing up the wrestling world for over 20 years. His early days as the high-flying Kid UK, becoming the battle-tested Alexander, and then to being a veteran of the British wrestling scene as Gavin Roach. He's faced the best, fought in every type of match imaginable, and built a legacy that's probably going to stand the test of time. If there's a fight to be had, he is there. He's probably done that and probably got the bruises to prove it. A Staffordshire wrestling legend, a true veteran of the squared circle. Give it up for the one, the only. It's Gavin Roach, everybody.
Hello.
I'm not sure how you'd stop the applause track, so we've got it on now, and he's here. I'll try and give you the big entrance then, mate.
Well, I want you to write it down and give it Luke for Friday, so he can introduce me like that.
Do you know, the problem is that I couldn't get the bub.
Oh.
So there we are. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and being our second, what do we call it, Matt? Regenerated interview guest.
Yeah, since we have regenerated.
Since we've regenerated the podcast and the YouTube channel. And yeah, thanks for being here. So what we want to do is we want to ask you loads of questions, and maybe later we'll have you compete in our Buried Alive segment. But we want to talk about you, your career, and basically we've had a load of comments in already asking questions about you, what you've done, and what you're planning to do in the future. So without further ado, Matt Burns.
Yes, let's let the show go on, and let's start off with what better way to start off with the early years and getting into wrestling.
Yeah. So,
which, as we always say, welcome to the Burning Truth and everything. So let's just take you back to the beginning, right? At the beginning. When did wrestling first grab you and make you say, "That's what I want to do"?
Well, I've got to thank my dad for that, because my dad is a massive wrestling fan. Growing up, when I was young, he used to have wrestling on all the time. He used to get videotapes off his friend's dad, and it was all the 80s wrestling stuff. But I do remember I was about 6 years old, and we used to watch the Wrestling Challenge. I think it was on a Sunday about 5 o'clock, and we watched that. And then my dad put us to bed, and he woke us up in the middle of the night. He's like, "Come down, some wrestling's on, let's watch it live." And to me, it was live. It might have been like a tape delay one, but my first wrestling show that I remember watching, and it was on live. It was WrestleMania 9, and I watched it, and that's when I decided right there and then that's what I want to do. And I turned around to my dad and said, "I want to be a wrestler." And then going to school all through my life, career advisor, what do you want to do when you finish school? I always said, "I want to be a pro wrestler. I want to be a pro wrestler." They all laughed at me. They all did. Everybody I told, they all laughed at me. But it was when I was in high school, and unfortunately, I went to the same high school as Mr. Matt Burns. And we become friends quite early on, bonded over wrestling all the time. And what I used to do is I used to see Matt coming out of his lesson, and I'd sneak up behind him I'd turn him around and I'd give him a stunner in the corridor and then run off. I don't advise doing that, kids. Anybody watching, my boys watching, don't do that. You'll get in trouble. Trust me. But yeah, me and Matt Burns used to just dinner times. We used to just go outside. Used to be a caretaker's house on site, and we used to sneak around the back of there. A group of us, wrestling matches. We used to hang a bag on a tree, and it'd be like first person to climb the bag up wins. And we used to climb to the top. Instead of reaching from the bag, jump off the top of the tree straight onto somebody below us. And it was Matt Burns that he'd started training when we were at school. And my mum and dad wouldn't let me go until I'd finished school. They always told me, finish school so you've got something to fall back on in case it doesn't work out. So I remember the last day of my exam, I finished that Sunday. I found there was a wrestling school just down the road in Longton. It was the AIWF at the time, the Allied Independent Wrestling Federation. And I emailed the guy, the trainer, I emailed him asking loads of questions about it. And he basically just told me, turn up 12 o'clock, £10 a session. That was it. So 22nd of June, 2003, I turned up to my first training session in this grotty little dojo and never looked back since. Trained there, never missed a week, was there every week, 12 till 5, 5 hours of training every week for 9-10 months. And then I remember I think it was January, he turned around to me and Matt Burns and he said, I think you're ready for the show now. Get some gear. As soon as you get it, put you in a show. So I thought, oh, great, yeah. Went, had a look, get some gear. I remember I went, there's a shop in Stoke, it's not there anymore, Bourne Sports. I went to
the cricket shop.
Yeah, went in there, found some really nice pair of tights, like lycra tights, blue all the way down, Union Jack all down the side. I thought, oh, they're great. Weren't that expensive, 30 quid, I think it were. Ordered them.
I think it was, yeah.
Ordered some boots. I think they were like kind of boxing / wrestling boots, but they went all the way up to your leg. And I had to wait 6 weeks for them. So the February show come. Matt Burns, his gear had already arrived. He was put on the bloody show, wasn't he? I was still waiting for my wrestling boots to arrive. So I turned up to that February show. And Matt Burns, main event, his first match. I think it was Emma Myatt against somebody. Oh, that's one of the pictures.
No.
It was a tag match, wasn't it?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Your first, that February show, you debuted, and I was there waiting in the wings like, it's going to be me next, it's going to be me next.
No, you mean the official debut, or do you mean the actual?
Yeah, February 2004.
I think me official debut was Johnny Fear.
Yeah.
The tag match you're referring to was, if I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head, it was me and Chris Curtis versus Sabotage and Conscience.
Don't know if you can see that on your screen, Matt Burns.
Crikey.
I can see that.
Both a lot slimmer now there than we are now.
More streamlined.
But I remember that February show, I come watch it, and I sat next to Samson Horn, another wrestling legend, and I couldn't think of a name. I was like, I don't know what to choose for a name.
Well,
and
the good thing about it, that actually leads into the next question I was going to actually follow up with, which was essentially, you started out as Kid UK. Where did that come from, and what was the inspiration behind it?
Well, it was Samson Horn that come up at the show. I was like, I can't come up with a name. And my tights had come, and I used to wear my tights at the training until my boots come. And he just turned around and said something like Kid UK, maybe. I don't know. And I thought, okay, that's probably the best thing, better than anything I could come up with. So, yeah. Roll on to the next month, March. I've got my gear, boots ready. And I have no clue about the wrestling. I wasn't smartened up to the wrestling business, and I remember getting dropped off there earlier in the day, and I'm thinking, what door do we even go in? I don't even know what door to go into. You know, who's going to be there or anything. And I turn up, and I've got my bag with me, my wrestling stuff, and the guy that ran it there was like, "Yeah, I'll stick you in the show." And it was my first match. There was a gauntlet match, and he just stuck me in there, and he said to me, "Me and Samson, 3-minute squash match." I thought, yes, great. And in my head, I had the idea, because I'm Kid UK. I've got Bulldog's music, not his original one. I think there was a revamp one when he come back in '99. I think when he was a heel, I had that one. And my vision was Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 7, against Sergeant Slaughter, and he comes out with a big American flag, waving it around. I just had that. Short notice, couldn't get a big flag. Ended up coming out with those little flags that you get on your car window, you stick on your car window. That big. I had 2 of them, waving them around, and I thought I want to go bigger next month. And
it was popular.
Little flags to start with. 3-minute squash match. Didn't even know like how to plan a match or anything like that. So I'm there backstage, and I'm saying to Samson, you know, this is the testament of how good wrestler Samson was. He knew it was a squash match. He knew it was my first match. I was nervous. He let me get my moves in as well, and I tell you, he gave me a beating as well. I wasn't expecting it. Like, got me in the corner, bang, potatoed me a couple of times.
He knew when to be stiff, didn't he?
Right, yeah. But I just thought it was the best experience. I thought onwards and upwards. I think the next month I turn up, and it's like, what match am I going to be in? And he's like, "You're in the Rumble. Everybody has to start in the Rumble now." And I'm thinking, I had a match last month. I didn't go to him and say, "No, I had a match last month," or anything. You know, I always learnt, you know, I'm a rookie, new guy, just starting. Keep my mouth shut. If the promoter says, "This is what you're doing," this is what I'm doing. So then I get in the Rumble. Guy gets me, trainer Curtis gets me, hooks my arms under, and he says, "Everybody, initiation." Everybody comes up, bang, chop, chop, chop. And my chest was beetroot red, blood streaming down it, and then just lobbed me out.
Cheers for them cold memories. Days, them memories. Because I will say, I do remember after that Rumble, the exact one you're referring to, I ended up having to owe a receipt to somebody, but of a certain Mr. Dirk Feelgood, if you remember him.
Oh yes, yes, I do remember Dirk Feelgood.
I will say, eventually I did get the receipt. I did give the receipt, eventually. but it was back then. It was like you were fighting for a chance to get it on in whenever you could. So with the UK wrestling scene not being as big as what it was when it's when we were starting, how both of us could probably what were your thoughts on how tough it was to get opportunities during them times?
Oh, it was very much kayfabe was very big back then, especially with old school wrestlers. But yeah, just trying to get on a show, trying to work anywhere else. It was the mentality of the trainer back then was you weren't really allowed to go anywhere else. If you went anywhere else, that'll be it. Bye bye, see you later. So he kind of like kept you there, and but I do remember some good matches there. We used to go to the carnivals. That was great experience. Chucking down with rain, about 3 people watching. Slipping, sliding everywhere. I've actually got the video of that still.
Are you on about the?
We'll get it on the social.
Hang on. Are you on about the one where was it Brown Edge where it absolutely just threw down buckets?
Yeah,
and we were trying to wrestle in this ring, and it was more safer to go ice skating.
Yeah, that's the exact same one. Brown Edge Carnival. Someone just messaged me. was Brown Edge Carnival.
Brown Edge Carnival. Love a bit of that. Any more questions for early years, Matt Burns?
Of course. Well, here's a good one for you. Looking back, what's the biggest difference between Kid UK and the Gavin Roach we see today?
Probably the 5 stone that I've put on since then.
And we all
see back then, when I was training, we learned the fundamentals. We learned bumping, because there was no ring there when we were training.
Yeah.
Dojo, it was those massive, thick judo mats.
You're about them thick green judo mats, aren't you?
And I was always told, if you can bump on these, when it comes to being in the ring, you can bump in the ring, no problem. And it's true, it was. But it was...
I bumped on soft concrete than them.
Yeah. But never learned how to plan a match. Never learned any psychology, really. It was like, learn to bump, learn to do the moves, and it was just repetition. Moves, repetition, and you get crisper and crisper. So back then, I'd wrestled Matt Burns quite a lot. And our matches were just like, you do this, and then I do this, and then you do this, and then I do this. And there was no storytelling to the match. It was just like, you do something, and I do something. Right? Yeah. Where nowadays, we've got a structure to the match, and it's all about, like, when I'm trying to have a match now, it's always, what story am I telling in the ring? What story is there? And then also audience, like, because you can have hundreds of ideas in your head, and you can do something and nothing lands with the audience. So then you just have to think quick on your feet. Where when I was Kid UK, I would just do whatever I felt like whatever super spinny flip off the rope I can do, or anything like that. Where nowadays, I don't tend to do any more flips, but it's all about, engaging with the audience. Because John Cena says it best. It's like you can have a match with anybody, and he knows exactly when to turn it up for the audience. He can get his arse kicked, and he knows exactly when to just like flip that switch and have his comeback, and boom. And I think that's the big difference between what it was like back then and what it's like now.
I will say I do remember them many of them years fondly myself. I do. I remember some of the carnival shows. I also remember sitting individual diving off the top rope while I'm outside in the field. If you remember the legendary catch and oh dear, where did I land?
In the cow pat.
That is exactly it. It's become known as the cow pat dive.
That was.
Oh no. Well, that was And the scary thing about it is when I say he came flying off the top rope, all I'll say to you is I'm looking the opposite way. I'm looking completely nowhere near his direction. Literally, as I turn out, I didn't even have time to even go, oh, he's here. It was just boom. Just catch.
Well, I mean, Gav, if I can ask you a question, mate. You've been wrestling for 20 years. Is there 20 plus years? Is there one match that really stands out to you as like your absolute favourite? Is there something you've done that stands out to you?
My favourite match, the most funnest match, I would say, was probably the coffin match, but I still prefer to call it casket match I had last October. It was just something so different, so unique, and I can say, I've had a casket match. Not many people can say that, and it was just fun to plan and 5 minutes into the match, you've got woods flying everywhere, the casket's breaking and everything, and that's one of my. But early on, I remember I used to go to the shows. I used to skip college. I used to go there, get my registration, and then leave and go on, because it was always on a Friday. I don't know why they put wrestling shows on a Friday, but it was always a Friday. And I used to go to college, get my registration, come out, get the bus to Longton, because I used to go the sixth form in Fenton. So cut the bus up to Longton, get there for about dinner time, help set the ring up, and then Curtis would train me in the ring. And one month he said, "Who do you want to fight? You can fight anybody. Who do you want to fight?" And then I saw who they've got there, and you've got Dirk Feelgood, Johnny Fear, Curtis, Myatt, Matt Burns. But the person I want to fight was at the time he was called Star Saber Pep, because I thought like watching him was he could do everything, and I thought that's who I want to fight. And I tell you, it was probably only my 4th or 5th match I had there, but to me, I learned so much in that match. It was absolutely brilliant, just getting the chance to work with him, and it's the only time I've ever really worked with him, to be honest. And then apart from that, other favourite matches, obviously when I won the title last year, because I've won titles before, but last year when I won the title, because I come back and I thought that grit down, work hard, and having my kids there celebrate with me, it meant the world to me.
Yeah, great moment, I think. Next question I've got for you, mate. You've worked you've worked with so many names. So you talked about like maybe favourite matches there. You talked about Pip and you talked about the coffin match. Was that with the Almighty Bjorn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a toughest opponent that you think, oh, that guy?
Toughest? Well, I remember being in a rumble with the UK pit bulls before. And
mental, fair dues.
And one of them grabbed me and threw me to bulk, and he said, "Take his effing head off with a clothesline." And I jumped up because I didn't want him to take the. I jumped up and he bang whacked me there. But just the sheer size of him, back then.
They're not huge rings on the UK scene either.
No, I think the BWA ring where I wrestled in, I think it was only 12 or 13 foot ring.
Yeah.
So to have both of them in the ring and then, with about
there's not a lot of gain out the way space, is there?
No.
That exact rumble you're referring to, I know that very fondly. I know exactly and I will give Gavin his flowers for what I'm about to say next. You'll understand why I say this, because fair dues going into a rumble when you got the UK pit bulls in there. Because right before him, who had to go in and do the exact? Who had to go in before him?
Yeah, you lads have got balls, man. Definitely.
Right. Absolutely. I went in. I absolutely got mauled and got leg dropped by a bulk and then launched over the top rope. But before myself going in, I believe it was Richard Lees who went in.
See, I've got photos. I've got photos of
the there, haven't we? Once we're at the point where we've got Gavin Roach, Matt Burns, and Richard Leeds being mentioned in a conversation.
Exactly. And the scary thing about it, and the weird thing about it was, I saw them literally gorilla press him, both of them, launched him up. Now, bear in mind, can you remember how tall Bids was?
Yeah, it had a good ceiling on, didn't it?
Yeah, bear in mind, if you remember, Richard actually touched the ceiling and come crashing into the canvas.
It's interesting we talk about Bids. Is there a strangest or most unexpected place that you've wrestled?
No. Carnivals, really.
Yeah.
I remember Cavalswall Carnival. We turned up, we set the ring up, and it was like a couple of matches, then there was an interval because there was other stuff going on, and then you can have another couple of matches after. So we all were there, the back of the van, we set it up, and we were there. A couple of matches had happened, then during the interval, and there was a load of teenagers at this carnival, all had a bit to drink, decided, I'm going to jump in the ring. Because back then, you'd set it up in the middle of the field, you've got everything else going on.
Yeah.
Carnival. No ring barriers or anything. These lads started jumping in the ring, trying to arse about in the ring. And a few of the wrestlers went out and was like, come on, leave the ring. And I think there was a bit of a scuffle with some of them. And it was decided, actually, we're going to just take the ring down and we're just going to go because there was a bit of trouble there.
Yeah, do you know what? These are the stories, aren't they, man? These are the stories.
Yeah, just for the police record, I was not involved.
Yeah, I suppose that's
We were not involved.
That's what I would call a nightmare moment. Is there? I mean, every wrestler's got a story where everything goes completely wrong. What if we're talking about nightmare moments? What's been probably your biggest one?
So it was actually, when was it? 2019. And I was actually wrestling Bjorn in this one. And I remember halfway through the match, I went up to the top rope and I looked into the crowd like, yeah, come on. And I saw someone I used to work with in the crowd. And I was like, oh, didn't know he was a wrestling fan. And then I went for my elbow drop and I just totally lost everything in my head. My mind went blank. Couldn't remember what was next. And at the end, Bjorn got me up for the Tombstone Pile Driver. I didn't even hold on. My arms are just let go. And Tombstone me, like, so, quite dangerously. Like, I was safe, didn't hurt, whatever. But usually, you need to hold on, for stability. But I just lost all my confidence after that. And I spoke to the guy afterwards, and he was there with a service user he brought. He wasn't a wrestling fan, but he was still friends with people that I worked with at the time as well.
Yeah.
I just thought, I need to put on a good show because he's going to go back to people and tell them,
got in your own head.
And it was, I got in my own head, and then I remember after that, like, me and Matt Burns have wrestled numerous times. More times I've had hot dinners. And we could just go out there and we could just work, no problem. But it was the November of that year, I think it was. Me and Matt Burns were wrestling each other. And surprise, surprise, I think we were supposed to be the first match on. And just before the show started, surprise, surprise, Matt Burns wasn't at the venue yet. Punctual as ever. So I think it just got pushed back a couple, like third or something. And we didn't really have much time to discuss anything. So we just went out there. And I just thought, how can I have a bad match with Matt Burns? Like, in my mind, it probably was a good match. I don't know. But in my mind, it was just like nothing went to plan or what. And I just thought, how can I have a bad match with Matt Burns? Guy I've wrestled, the most out of anybody in my career, And it just... That even knocked my confidence even worse, to be honest.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. To be honest, I'd never told anybody this, actually.
Neither did I.
So, it's interesting we talk about confidence, but it's something that, you gain gradually over time. I think, the run that you've been on, certainly for the last 12 months, I would say, certainly the last 6, maybe the last 12 months, I would say you are looking more confident than you've ever looked.
Oh, I am now. Like when I first started, I had all the confidence in the world. I could do anything. I could fight anybody. I didn't care who you put me up against. When I was Kid UK, put me up against the UK pit bulls. I don't care if they flatter me. I'll still get back up. Yeah. But it wasn't until then, and it was round about then, that 2019, 2018, 2019, when I'd come back, because I moved to Scotland for 8 years, and I'd come back, and then I started with United again, and it was just that little run. Then I just lost all my confidence and everything.
Was that the run where you first kicked it off in the triple threat ladder match, Money in the Bank?
No,
that run, or was it later?
No, that was later. We were at the Suburban, wasn't it?
Yeah. The triple threat ladder match you're on about, that was at Bids. So
yeah.
I was still living up Scotland, and then I'd come back, and I'd always try to plan coming back visit my folks when there was a show on, because you've always ran the last Friday of every month, so I knew any time there was a show on, and I'd always try come down and aim to be round about then. And no, but that match you're on about, that match, it was me, Matt Burns, and it was Squirt. And I was on the outside. Squirt did an Asai moonsault, and his knee cracked me straight on the head. And I had a concussion. I don't remember anything after that match. I don't even remember that night.
Next thing you knew, you woke up in Scotland.
Well, he's probably going to sit there and think, when pigs fly in a minute, because if I recall, he ended up being drop kicked out the ring and then someone diving onto you before the assignment insult.
I don't remember anything that match. Always remember that he did an assignment insult, knee landed right on my head, and that was it.
It was literally me.
Like the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Yeah.
So you've been, I mean, we're just talking through things from years ago now, but you've been on the scene for a long time, seen a lot of changes. What's the biggest shift you've noticed in sort of the British wrestling scenes from day one to now?
Oh, just the like the boom that it's got now. You know, everything's more mainstream. You know, when I started out 2003, you know, there was the only wrestling you could find on telly was WWE. Really, TNA, you couldn't really find them on UK television. You used to have to go online to watch them. But you know, ever since WWE come on, they exploded more. The Wrestling Channel come out. I used to love that. UK, NXT UK helped a lot with the UK scene, I think, and it gave more UK wrestlers a platform to be shown to everybody else. And just since then, it's just like the amount of promotions that started up and amount of training schools that there are now. You know, you've just seen a boom and people watching it and loving it and coming to, watch.
So there's a question here from WWE for Life asking, if you did any work when you were when you did move up to Scotland, whether there was anything going up there in terms of the wrestling scene during the time you were living there.
Yeah, well, when I first moved up there, first thing I did really was search wrestling companies, wrestling schools, and there was one that was quite a distance away, the nearest one, and it wasn't easy to get to because for some reason training was on a Sunday. For some reason people like doing trainings on a Sunday. The buses were crap. I don't drive, so unfortunately I wasn't able to get there for the training. But I remember there was they did like a carnival, and I was just there with my ex-wife, turned up, and next thing I see, this ring in the background, straight towards her. There's a big, massive life-size cardboard cutout of Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man. So I just started talking to the promoter, and I said, "Oh, I'm a wrestler. I've just moved up here." He asked me where I was from. I was from Stoke. For some reason, he asked me if I knew Ricky Knight.
Right.
I was like, "I know him. I've never wrestled, but I know him." He's like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Oh, I want to get back into the wrestling." So he was like, "I've got some matches on here, but if there's a break in between, we'll see if we can get you in the ring." So did a few matches, and then there was a break on, and he's like, "If you want to jump in the ring with one of the wrestlers, have a, scuffle about, I'll watch you." So I did, off the cuff, just had a little match with somebody, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm impressed." And he told me all about his wrestling skill, which I've already researched about, but it was just I just couldn't get there. But then eventually they come to actual Dundee where I was living, and started training up there. And unfortunately, I only had like one match with them up there because I had to stop for personal reasons. But I remember I had a match with a guy called Big Bad Bundy. It actually reminded me a lot of Matt Burns, to be honest.
Yeah.
You had the same charisma as Matt Burns, I'll tell you that as well.
Ha ha ha, very funny. Very, very funny.
You see?
Let's get one thing straight. No, I'm just joking with you.
But,
I'm just joking.
I can see the comments, WB for life, just to let you know that I did win that match. That's my son, that is, WB for life, asking all these questions.
Nice one. Okay, cool. Matt, have you got any more questions for our?
Oh, of course. Well, you've done so much in your wrestling, in your wrestling career. What's left on the bucket list?
What's left on the bucket list? There is one thing I do really want to win, but I don't know. You know when you put it out to the universe and you let people know, and then something happens and you don't ever doing it. It's like, oh, but just because it means a lot to me, and what it is and what it stands for, but I do really want to win that Mr. and Mrs. United Wrestling Trophy. Carol and Dave, who it's named after, anytime when I used to wrestle, when it was up Wales, when Rich started the company and it was WWA, I used to go up there, wrestle with Rich. I used to stay over with him. And there was one time where I went up and I was there for about a month. I just never went home. I just stayed at his mum and dad's. And just because of, they're like my family, to be honest. They treat me just like my family. And my mum and dad have known like Richie's mum and dad for a long time as well. So that's something I want to do. But I'm realistic in life. When I started out wrestling, everybody, the dream was WWE, go to WWE, wrestle. But I'm 40 next year, so the chances of me, getting a WWE contract, NXT contract, or anything are slim to none. So I know realistically that's not going to happen. But just keep entertaining people, hopefully. That's probably my goal. And the thing why I decided to come back, one of the biggest things was to show my kids, that, my dream was always to be a wrestler, and I've fulfilled that, and it's just to show them whatever they want to do in life, whether it's a footballer, wrestler, astronaut, or whatever, work hard, and you can put your mind to it, and you can do anything.
Great advice, man.
It's a good message. And for my next question, if you could wrestle one dream opponent, past or present, who would it be and why?
Pick me. No, I'm just kidding. Carry on.
See, I'd have to go with my favorite wrestler of all time, which is a cerebral assassin, the game Triple H. But if it was, the kids ask me this all the time, and it's like, well, what if it's a 3-way or a 4-way or a whatever? But if it was any match I could have, it would be, I'd love to wrestle Triple H.
Yeah.
Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Okada. I think they're the 3 best wrestlers.
Careful, we're saying names that Matt Burns can't pronounce now. I'm sure we were talking about AEW the other week, and he said, "Take a shitter."
No, I did not.
Takeshita.
Takeshita.
Oh no.
Yeah, so Will Ospreay, Triple H,
Kazuchika Okada.
Okada, yeah.
3 best wrestlers, in my opinion, of probably all time.
Well, for the next one is, I'm going to say, is a little bit more towards home. So you've helped shape the Staffordshire wrestling scene. How proud are you of the talent that's coming through today?
Oh, extremely proud. Like you just have to Google wrestling. Not last week, the week before. If you looked online, you had All-Star Wrestling back at Vicky Hall. I think that was the end of January. In February, I know you've got Crew, which is next door, but there was UKWA had a show on it in Crew on I think it was the 15th. At the same time, Mega Slam were over here in Stoke at the King's Hall in Stoke. You've got United Wrestling the last Friday of every month at the Sports and Social Club, and you've got New Wave Wrestling that run shows. They've got a training school there, so just to be a part of how big the wrestling scene is, just in Staffordshire and Stoke, I'm very proud of.
Yeah, no, it is. It's absolutely a staple of it, because it's had many companies be involved with Staffordshire. I believe there's even one that's currently on temporary hold, but there's that many. We're almost fighting for spots, aren't they?
Yeah.
So again, like we said in the past, where it used to be so reserved for spots, now we sort of got them a bit more, available and ready for the up and comers and everything. So, as we mentioned, the up and comers, for the young wrestler or wrestlers looking to make it, what's the best piece of advice you can give them?
Oh, the best piece of advice. The best piece of advice would be just to listen to the crowd, because if it wasn't for the people that pay to come and see us, we wouldn't be anything. And sorry, and it's it's getting the crowd emotionally involved in whatever you're doing, whether it's your first time there or your 100th time there. You still have to get that emotion from the crowd. You have to suspend their disbelief in what you're doing, either get behind you or hate you, but the crowd's everything.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just saw something just pop up.
Yeah, so I just pulled that up, actually. Pressed the wrong button, Matt Burns. I apologize. What I wanted to do was just give a big shout out to match that you're going to be having this Friday, 2 days from now as we record. Family Fun Wrestling Entertainment at the Abbey Alton Sports and Social Club, ST28DY. I believe it's 7 o'clock, doors open for United Wrestling Live, Turning Point, and you're going to be wrestling the Monster Mayhem. So, we talk about young talent that's coming through. As far as I can tell from that mask, Mayhem is a young talent coming through. And these are sort of the next wave of young wrestlers that are coming through to this Staffordshire area, and I think that's really good. I don't know how you feel about that, Gav.
Yeah.
And are you looking forward to the match? I suppose is my other question.
Well, I've wrestled Mayhem before, and I know he hits hard, and I always end up with bruises and scars after my match with Mayhem. But yeah, it should be a good match.
I jumped in there.
The odd thing about it is I can actually vouch for Gavin on this. He is a absolute unit. Mayhem is. Ben's for mine. I had to bounce off the ropes more than once. This might shock you. I had to leave my feet just to get him off his feet.
Big lad.
That's when we had that earthquake, was it?
Any more questions, Matt Burns?
Well, with that being said, final one. Sum up your entire wrestling career in just 3 words.
3 words? Painful, exhilarating, and wrestling.
Painful, exhilarating, wrestling. Can't go wrong. Matt.
Yep.
Go get the shovel.
Dearly beloved, we're gathered here for Buried Alive.
Buried Alive. Yeah, so Buried Alive. Wow. Buried Alive is our segment, Gavin Roach, where we do something very similar to TV's Room 101, where we take a storyline, an idea, a character, or basically anything we like from the world of professional wrestling and decide whether it should be buried alive, never to see the light of day again. And hopefully, we did ask you before this interview to prep something for this segment. What we would like to do is for you to nominate something to go into Buried Alive or to be buried alive. And me and Matt Burns are judge, jury, and executioner, and we'll decide if he gets buried or not.
Okay. I think Matt Burns should end up in the Buried Alive section.
I'm sold.
So,
no.
The thing I would put in the Buried Alive, the story, match, or whatever, would be the one thing that still doesn't sit right with me is Jinder Mahal winning the WWE Championship. It was, I said to myself, if Jinder wins this title, I'm never going up wrestling again. And lo and behold, he wins it, and I thought, no, I can't do that to myself. But
and you now still think that Jinder Mahal's champion?
So yeah, so I just it was like out of nowhere he suddenly got this push. Like 1 minute he's a 3-man band, and then he goes off and he comes back and he's the Marjoral or whatever he's called, and then he goes on, beats Randy Orton, but then what did he actually do when he was a champ? I know he had that awful Punjabi prison match,
which, if I'm not mistaken, was he not involved in?
Yeah. Because was that when the Great Khali come out and
yes.
So, but
Jinder
I will
Mahal,
say
WWE champion. Do you know what though? Here's my against argument, right? If Jinder Mahal isn't champion, we don't get AJ Styles winning the title in the UK on Raw.
I was just gonna say the only good thing to come out of that was me and my brother were there live in Manchester for that SmackDown taping where AJ beat him for the WWE title.
That's it, yeah.
But
yeah,
if it was still Randy, he could have beat Randy for the title.
Well,
because I did. You're not supposed to believe everything you read on the internet, but I read that obviously at that time, whoever the champion was, the Raw champ versus the SmackDown champ at Survivor Series, and it was Brock that totally said, "I ain't fighting Jinder," so they had to take the title off him some way. Because it just seems random that AJ wins the title off him on a SmackDown in the UK.
I think the whole thing was some sort of experiment for the Indian audience, wasn't it?
Because I think they wanted to expand into India, didn't they? And what better way?
I think they were trying to experiment and do something. As WWE says, I want to go into India and get popular. It didn't happen. It didn't work. And the longer I remember watching it, I was just there thinking to myself, how can we believe him? How can we believe in him? And what was it that they used to keep saying? Don't hinder Jinder. No, I'm sorry, he just hindered himself.
And then what's he done since then?
Well, he got released again eventually, didn't he? But,
he got released.
Like at the time, I remember when JBL come back and he won the title. I thought the same about him. But JBL has actually gone on to have quite a successful career afterwards. But Jinder, no.
Jinder Mahal, WWE champion. Are we aligned on this, Matt Burns?
Is it gone?
I'll let you do the burying this time. Yeah, I think we're agreed. I think we bury Jinder Mahal as WWE champion. It was crap. It was rubbish, and we never want to see it again. Agreed?
100% agreed. 100%.
Great.
Definitely.
And he's gone. That is buried alive. Matt Burns, if I'm not too mistaken, you have one final question.
I actually have what, even though I said the other one was a final one, but this is more of a, you'll see why. So, Gavin Roach, where is the best place for people to follow your social media?
So, Facebook, Gavin Roach. I don't really do any other social media because I just don't have time. But Facebook is the best way to reach me. Just type in search Gavin Roach, and she'll come straight up.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. And I believe with that all being said and done, that's a wrap on this interview. And just to point out, I'd like to say thank you very much to none other than Gavin Roach, and thank everybody that everyone that was here to send in their comments and also join us. We'd like to say massively thank you for all the questions that you've had and answers from Gavin himself for being here and everything. We do hope you all had as much fun as we've had as well.
Definitely. If you want more of the Burning Truth, you can keep the conversation going with us on all sorts of social media. We're on Twitter and Blue Sky at TBT Live UK and Threads, Instagram at The Burning Truth, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all those other places at The Burning Truth or at The Burning Truth 251 as well. On the YouTube, you can get full episodes, reactions, and exclusive content.
And don't forget to smash that like button, put a chokehold on the subscribe button, and drop the elbow. Just drop us a review on your favorite podcast or interview platform. Every like, Subscribe and comment helps us build an even bigger community of wrestling fans, and we couldn't do it without you.
Absolutely. And we're trying to get to that magic this way. 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So please help us do that. And here's something huge. You can head over to theburningtruthuk.com right now, not just for breaking wrestling news and updates, but to check out our brand new merch store. We've got t-shirts, mugs, and more coming soon to help you rep the Burning Truth wherever you go. Trust me, you don't want to miss these killer designs and offers.
But, of course, until next time, stay fired up, stay passionate, and remember, DFTBA, and in case you don't know what it means, it of course means don't forget to be awesome!
Excelsior!